Thank you very much to the Minister Naftali Bennett. And now I would like to invite the Minister of Interior and the Minister of the Development of the Negev and the Galilee, Mr. Aryeh Machluf Deri. Mr. President, the Chief Justice, President of the Supreme Court, my colleagues and the chairman of the various parties, ambassadors, Mr. Reichman, distinguished guests. It's very difficult to talk after such wonderful speeches that were actually very fascinating in addition. And I don't want to presume to say, but I was actually sort of intending to say some of them, and I don't want to reiterate things. So I will simply, if I do reiterate things, it won't be as in such a talented way as they were actually brought to you before. So I know that a good doctor, is one who usually gives a first-class diagnosis. And in the Talmud, we were also taught, Rabbi Brisk, or his system was that when you define the question properly, that's already half the answer. It's well known. So you did that today, Your Excellency the President. That's exactly what you do. First of all, you gave a diagnosis of our people, and I think it's the first time since its inception it was never given such a diagnosis. But very often when you have patients and sick people, they want to sort of put their head in the sand, either because they fear the truth and reality or because they don't want to hear it. But for the first time they said, ladies and gentlemen, you said there are 4 tribes, big tribes, yes? Of course, they're religious, and if we only sufficed with those 4 bigger ones, it would be wonderful, but those are the greatest trends. But there isn't one big majority, there are sort of minorities along the way. And you embedded it all, and since then it has become part and parcel of our discourse. And to my chagrin, that trend, and the sages taught us, and I'm happy to say that when there is unity, to create this sort of a stereotype, sort of the new Israeli, deleting all the past Israeli images while dictating very clearly a specific culture that should be the leading one. And without it, exclusively only that, and anyone who should try and say something different, immediately everyone sort of breathes down their necks. And of course, and I'm not talking about the allocation of resources or the various educational curricula and syllabus, but in any field or domain or walk of life that we talk upon and touch upon, that which was actually in control. There was one trend, and that is what had to be instilled and imbued. And boy, were so many fell upon that path. But I feel that it is incumbent upon me to say, I didn't blame anyone. There's an interpellation from the audience, but I didn't blame anyone. Mr. Yadlin, I didn't blame anyone specifically. I said it's a trend that has existed, but if you wanted examples, I can give you a myriad of them. Some of them were very simple ones. Here, the Minister of Education spoke just beforehand, and I congratulated him, for these are the buds of that actual trend, and he put things on the table. And I simply want to enjoy this culture that was actually denied of me for so many years. So if we've reached a situation where there is a dispute with so many of the sessions in the government, and Minister Bennett was there, they're all sitting there together, all the ministers, trying to search for why there aren't any poets from the Oriental, the Sephardics, or someone who could be a symbol. Yes, admittedly, it's something symbolic. What does it matter when you have money in your pocket? But it does make a difference, because that young person who is growing up and sees whose images are they holding in their hands, whose pictures are they holding in their hands. They want to emulate these people, and if they haven't got those examples, it's because those people were denied for so many years. And Everything has become, professional arguments and considerations over the years. We were looking for that. That's what they said. The answers, by the way, are very insulting, if that's the reasons why there aren't such symbols. But really, what you have done is you've showed great compassion for our people, and you put things on the table, and you put them on the agenda. It may seem just to be an institution that is disconnected, that of the presidency or the IDC, who raised that gauntlet of challenge and said yes. And I also have nephews who study there, and I know the students who are there, who emanate from all sectors of society. And they turned it into more than just a speech, but they've turned it into part of their work program. And you've been doing so for the past year, and I congratulate you for that. One must remember that Lord Almighty, the Creator, has taught us unity, but that does not mean uniformity. That must be sort of in our minds the whole time, in our mind's eye. Because if there's uniformity, it means that they will be trampling upon those who do not have the clout and who are the minority. So what it means, unity, is to recognize each and every one with its uniqueness, each sector, and together create that wondrous orchestra that will play a wonderful tune. In Maimonides said that he spoke about the 10 miracles in the Red Sea's miracle. One of the Maimonides miracles that he specified, he said that they tore the Red Sea into different parts and fragments, but it was only 2 parts. No, but Maimonides said that the God Almighty tore the Red Sea into 12 tribes. And Pharaoh is behind you. The people of Israel are about to drown in the sea. What does it matter which path I choose to tread upon? Isn't one track sufficient? No, but there was a symbol. When he actually created that miracle, he also conveyed a message that the people of Israel, 12 tribes, even at a time when time is of the essence and danger is encroaching, even 50 days later, by the way, and there the whole people of Israel resided there in the shade of the Mount Sinai. What did it mean? There were more than 2 million people, if you count them according to various systems. But they parked there all together. They resided all there together. In other words, they were all one people and one heart, one soul and spirit. But Rabbi Aryeh Levine, who was well known, and he loved the people of Israel so much, and once his wife had actually fractured her leg, and they went together to the doctor, and he said, my wife's leg really pains us. Yes, us, we. In other words, the people of Israel reached a level that they all felt one person, one people, one heart beating within them. In other words, this Torah had actually said, here there are 12 tribes, and yet just before when the Mount Sinai, when the commandments were to be passed down, they were one person, one heart, and each person will have their self-respect and their tradition, each person with their dignity, and Yehuda, Reuven, whoever it is, all of them with their Torah, their beliefs, their uniqueness, one people with one heart. That is the main message that is embedded in all that. I'm sorry, I can't hear the interpellations from the audience. Oh, no, sorry, it is the president talking, but I couldn't hear it. I'm sorry. I'm so happy that I did actually hit on what you were saying and what you were trying to imply. Thank you. Chapeau. We, as Professor Reichman said, the absolute majority of the state of Israel, of Jews, secular, Sephardi, Ashkenazi, Haredi, ultra-Orthodox, all of them, but we have one common denominator that really holds us all together, the Le'om, the nation. And we have to remember that there is a very big minority, though, of over 20%, that we do not have that common denominator, that nation, and that is the common denominator is our destiny. Yes, but that is no less strong. After all, there was never a dream that one should get rid of the other. And we, as a sovereign, it's incumbent upon us to have all those specific duties that are greater than demanding of them their duty, because actually the clout, the power is in our hands, and therefore the approach should be as you actually led. You were at the helm, the president. In the state of Israel, it is incumbent upon us not only just to say things, but to do, to carry out deeds. And I agree full-heartedly with Naftali Bennett. Yes, the Arab citizens want to become part and parcel of this nation. They want to do things. And over 8 months, as you can see statistically, what has been happening, there have been no uprisings. But in Sweden, yes, and there are more who actually identify with ISIS than in the state of Israel, which really shows that here it has not been shown, and that shows that they truly want to integrate within us, be part and parcel of us, and we have to show them. Yes, we may be different. We are Jews, you are Arabs, we don't have a shared nationality, perhaps, but we respect your culture, your tradition, your heritage, and I, as a religious Jew, have no interest whatsoever of intervening with each other's issues and mix those cultures. Each wants their own unique culture, but to live together in one state, and the first primary meaning of that is to give full equality, egalitarian rights. And yes, the President, we spoke together about that. There are steps, even painful though they may be, but we will take from the strong, from the big local authorities and the local municipalities, and we will give to the smaller ones. There's no way that an Arab authority should not have space to expand in, and they should not have their rights, and they should have not any initial income other than their municipality rights. So therefore, there's going to be a cluster legislation of bills like Migdal Emek, Afula, and all the Arab municipalities around that will have shared services of education, health, culture, together, all that will be funded by us so that they can have them too, equally. And now the discourse, Your Excellency the President, yes, the discourse is of paramount importance. We know that a word can kill, and we know that discourse of racism and of hatred that is not immediately curbed and stopped, then the worst of possible things like discrimination in the educational institutions and in workplaces can immediately take place. It starts, first and foremost, with the acceptance or bowing your heads when there is a discourse of hatred or racism. So people asked me over the last week, why do you make such a noise over all this and blow so many trumpets around it? Because I do not want an affront against anyone. I do not intend to insult anyone personally. All I'm trying to say that in our state, it is prohibited that we should accept any racism or any discourse of racism or hatred. I was delighted, Mr. President. We've already seen the first buds of Israeli society that has matured, yes, across the board, the entire home and house and all the political institutions, if we're talking about the shrine of democracy, everyone, they all condemned that. And that shows the maturity, the mellowness of Israeli society that want to live together, looking for their common denominator and not what separates between them, but leave each one with its dignity and in its tribe. Yes, it is just the beginning of that path that we're embarking on. But when you start with a precept, you always say you should complete it and conclude it. So yes, you initiated it. You should be the big brother, that compass, the lighthouse, the holding the torch. You should actually propel us forward. Because sometimes in political fray, we forget this. We should not anymore. Thank you.
תודה רבה לשר דרעי.